Welcome to Love Always Self, a podcast about connection to self, reflections of self, and how this impacts our reality.
We're all about trying to find balance, discovering tools for spiritual wellness, and creating a safe place to have loving conversations about a broad range of topics.
I'm Karista, a spiritualist with a background in nursing, health coaching, and personal training. I believe in a holistic mindset where everyone and everything can work together in harmony by giving love and attention to the body, mind, and spirit so that we can create a more balanced life. I want to help guide you in your personal journey to create a life filled with joy, magic, and love.
And I'm Shyra, an explorer of personal truth with a background in program management, finance, and more recently a spiritual intuitive, learning to connect with spiritual guides whom I like to call Mount Glass. I have an always growing passion to not only guide myself, but to also guide others in opening to and creating stronger connections with our highest self, allowing us to see and feel life in a whole new loving light.
We believe that we are all connected, and by learning to love self, we will elevate the collective consciousness and learn to create deeper connections with each other, self, and source. As we grow and learn through our own life adventures and self-discoveries, we hope you gain insights into your own truth.
Don't forget to subscribe to stay notified of new content. We would love to hear from you. So if you have any questions or topics you'd like for us to discuss, please email us at contact@lovealwaysself.com. Or you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at lovealwaysself, and this will be linked in the show notes. Morning.
Good morning, Shy Bear. Howdy, howdy.
Howdy.
Good morning, listeners. We're so glad that you can join us today. We have, some topics, that we'd like to discuss. And as always, we are working to be our authentic self. So here we go. We are super excited to be starting this journey, and we are already considering ourselves a success because we have launched a podcast and we have released several recordings. So that already right there is success in my book.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations, Shyra, to you as well.
Congratulations, Carrie. I know, that's crazy.
Yeah. First off, thank you to everybody that has listened so far and followed our journey. But interestingly enough, despite this success, last night I had some tiny little voices from the dark little corners of my mind pop in and really made me question, are you worthy of this? What do you really have to offer? And so that's what Shyra and I have been chatting about this morning, and just wanted to bring that up with you to let you know you're not alone in those tiny voices. So, Shyra, can you help me with working through some of that insecurity?
Well, yeah. I mean, full disclosure, we typically will have a conversation like the night before or, earlier in the week to kind of go over what's going on in our lives with each other. And, quite frankly, Carrie and
we are best friends. So
we are best friends, right? Yeah. And so we talk a lot. And so, and it helps going through those motions because then we bring up information about our own personal journeys. And part of those personal journeys is learning how to deal with our own personal insecurities. And one of the things that we had discussed was, you're having these insecurities about your own abilities or what information you're giving out and how it's being received. And, and I'm having those same insecurities. And, this kind of stuff we feel is important to release an episode for because we're not alone in that, as Carrie said.
So my insecurity this morning that I brought up with Shyra was that I was questioning what kind of gifts I bring to the table. And, I have the background in nursing and personal training and health coaching and whatnot. And I'm waking up this morning going, okay, I need to get another certification. So I have something more to offer when we start doing one-on-one sessions or private sessions or, group things. And, Shyra, your response.
I was like, Carrie, I have 0 certifications or licenses or anything. I mean, not at least related to what we've been sharing, right? My training, and because she brought up my gift, right? And I got a little gangster in talking to her this morning with love, of course. But I just said, it's not a gift. It is our God-given right as human beings to have an ability to tap in to consciousness, to tap into energy, um, to connect. We just have been suppressed. We have not been given training. We have not been given the knowledge that we have these abilities. And so for me,
And just to clarify, when we talk about these abilities, whether it's psychic intuition or being empathic, being able to utilize different, modalities like tarot cards or crystals to draw in this energy to provide information to the collective.
right. What do you call that? The clairs?
Yeah, the different clairsentience, the clairaudience,
Yeah.
clairvoyance. There's 5 of them. I named 3.
And I love how whenever you're like if you look this up later, right? Like if you look, just Google the clairs or clairvoyance or clairaudience or what are the clairs, right? There's always this limiting belief in us because we don't realize how expansive we are. And we're still learning that, like how incredibly expansive we are. And every time I either have a private session with a friend, because I'm not yet like doing those to the public or whatnot, but when I'm tapping into this, like with friends and family members, every single time I learn something new. I learn some capability. So yesterday we're having a conversation on our Zoom or whatever, and I just kept getting these like messages, and I was writing them down as we were talking, and it got really, really strong. And I started actually getting physical body feels, which I've never done that before. Again, this is something I'm still learning as I go, right? But I've never gotten that before. So that was new. And it turns out that there was there was accuracy to what I was saying. And so that was kind of cool. But, it is back to the point. It is so important to share the message that what we're learning, what I've learned, I learned it. I was taught. And then I started listening and trusting myself. And that is exactly what has brought me to where I'm at. It was not like some big shiny star appeared in the sky and then all of a sudden I had a quote unquote gift, right? Like, no. I was taught. I had incredible teachers. I had a shit moment in my life where I had major surgery. I was in a weird place mentally, and I had a month to just sit because I couldn't move. And that was the first time in my entire life that I have been that still for that long. And so what I decided to do in that moment was take advantage of it and learn, what am I capable of doing? And that's where and how I got to where I'm at today. Now, granted, it wasn't just that month. I think honestly, my whole life has been leading up to this, right? All the moments have been leading up to this. I really do firmly believe that. But I just want to be clear when I say that I don't look at them as gifts. I look at them as our right. We
Well,
all have a right to this.
and also too, it's, expanding outside of the five senses that we've been told that we're limited to. And, just limiting beliefs in general keep us lacking that connection and being open to these possibilities, because at the end of the day, we are limitless. So, I'd really like for you, Shyra, to explain some of what you've done to learn so
Yeah.
that I and the listeners can look into developing our abilities.
Okay. Um, so, well, let's see. And this was part of, I believe it was in my About Me. Or actually, no, I think it's on an episode that's coming up in regards to my past life regression. Um, but, just a quick recap on some information you might have heard in a previous episode. I went through hard times. I got to this point because of the hard times that I was going through, the stress, the anxiety. And so most of my teachings started happening at the point that I decided to wake up and stop feeling powerless. So that was the biggest turning point for me, personally, and everyone. And this is another thing that I always want to make sure that I mention, is that there is no specific or required way to do any of this. There's
There is no one path to God.
Right. There is no one path. Like, we're all here having our own individual experiences. So I just want, in this physical form, in these vessels that we walk around in, right? These bodies are equipped to connect because we are consciousness operating a physical body. Believe that, feel that if you want to. You don't have to, like, you'll get there on your own time. But starting with your own feeling of empowerment, or asking yourself the question, what am I actually capable of? Because I can guarantee you, once you ask that question and you start to look those answers up, or you start to look within for those answers, it opens these doors that you just didn't expect. And that's basically what happened for me. It was, I don't want to feel powerless anymore. What am I capable of? Right. Yeah. So honestly, it was that rabbit hole of me starting to do my own research. Like, I can't possibly be the only person that feels like this. And lo and behold, there's thousands, if not millions, of people that feel this exact same way. And so there's so much information out there.
So what have you been doing to help open yourself up?
Well, the first thing was honestly was the meditation for me, right? Mm-hmm. So learning how to just sit with me and be comfortable with me. So before going down this journey in the full rabbit hole that I went down, obviously, I would just sit and I would realize that I'm just squirming around, and like moving, or like constantly, playing with my hands, or placing my hands in a certain way, or tucking my hair behind my ears. And and it dawned on me when, like, I realized I was doing that I was uncomfortable in my own skin. And so it was becoming more and more interesting that I was bringing awareness to myself of, why do you feel that way? What's holding you back from just sitting still in a space that's completely your own, where nobody can see you? There's no one here to judge you about this.
Just being without action.
Right. So that was probably the first thing. Learning, teaching myself how to calm the fuck down, basically. And And then of course, fast forward of still going through that, I've been watching YouTube videos and we've set some of those, look up, our teachers' references and modalities that we've used on some of the previous episodes. We provided links for those. But I started following certain teachers that I felt aligned to, that I felt like I resonated with. And then that kind of led me to that past life regression session. And that for me, again, I don't think that it's for everybody. And there's no requirement to do this, but like that for me was the eye opener because of all the synchronicities that followed that. Because I mean, I'm not going to lie. Let's just be honest here. Like after I had that, I was like, did I make all that shit up or did that really happen?
I remember a book that you had read and got me one as well, the Opening to Channel, or no, it was the Akashic Records books.
Yeah, the Akashic Records.
Yeah. And I remember, us sitting out in a park one night during a full moon, random park, just wanted to see the sky and be in the moonlight. And you were telling me about some things that you were visualizing, and you were just like, so what? Like, is this real? And, we have over the course of the last at least 6-8 months, you've been really, really opening yourself up to these experiences, your different senses. And, throughout that time, there were plenty of moments where you were needing validation. Your ego was questioning yourself and your abilities and telling you, no, that's not real. Oh, that's just a coincidence. So let's talk about those insecurities that keep popping up.
Well, and I still have them. I do. I still have those insecurities. So, I mean, those insecurities are honestly just going to be, let's see. I felt that everything that I learned how to do, even though I learned this from those that have been practicing for years, right? So Ambrosia Matthews from Innerbloom was a huge teacher for me. I met with her on private sessions. She has a Grow Your Gifts class that she does. I highly recommend checking it out if she still has those available. And sitting there with my laptop open in a bathrobe, and thank you, Ambi, for being a witness to that, because we were on a Zoom call. And she just walked me through a quick meditation, literally took 5 minutes. And she was having me practice these different things and different types of ways to connect or to read energy or to whatever. So like one of them was remote viewing, right? And she walked me through, and she was like, basically,
really quick insert, remote viewing is being able to visualize something in a different space that is not in your space. So if I'm in Texas and I'm remote viewing Ambrosia's room, she's in California, I believe. No.
Yeah. So different state, let's just say different state, different country, different place of the planet. Right.
Yeah. So you can see other things going on in other places that you are not physically present at.
Yes. Good. Thank you for explaining that. I forget to do that sometimes. So she had me remote view, or try it, right? She's like, just try it. So tell me whatever comes to head, right? And so as I'm explaining it, she had then told me she was validating me. And during that, she even like would take an object that I had just described and, leave the camera. And then she'd come back and show me that. And I'm thinking to myself, it was honestly that moment where it dawned on me, holy shit, we all can do this. This is not just some like gift that I was given, this is something we all have the ability to do. And it was literally this like mind-blowing aha moment that I had while sitting on that call and like realizing like, whoa, dude, it's weird, That's so cool. It's exciting and it's a little freaky and you're like, what? But then as soon as I got off the call, it took less than 24 hours for me to be like, really? I don't think so. Maybe she was just being nice, right? Like, how crazy is it that we've been so programmed and so trained in so many ways
doubt ourselves,
doubt ourselves,
right?
And so it's taken time, and I still do it sometimes. Like, even when I'm reading a friend, I'll be like, I'm literally sitting there looking for validation while I'm having the conversation. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm hearing. And sometimes I'll be like, yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense, but it does end up later making sense later on. So sometimes I won't get that immediate, gratification or validation right then and there from that. But the cool part is that I started learning that everything I was thinking in those moments, all these like thoughts that are coming to me, all these visualizations that are coming to me, right? Which is just like a thought visual. It's weird. It's hard to explain, and I will do my best to try to explain it. But the fact of the matter is that even still today, I still have moments of insecurities that I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, that's crazy. Can I really do this? That's weird. Can I really do this? That's so cool. But can I really do this? Like, wow, that's amazing. That's incredible. Like, how the hell have we not been taught this? Why was this not an actual course in school? Like, can I really do this?
Yeah.
Right. And then I literally will just be like, oh, but shit, the CIA even released, like, they invested millions of dollars to prove that we can do this. And yet I'm also still here. Like, really? This is weird. We can do this? That's the back and forth. That's me trying to train my ego to let go of these limiting beliefs that I've created for myself or that have been taught to me over the years.
And you shared a really good method with me just before this call to help dispel some of that negative questions, or maybe not negative, but doubt.
Yeah. So sometimes in my own head, I'll get these thoughts that are just, they don't feel good, right? That is me now learning and recognizing that thought does not make me feel good. And if a thought that I receive does not make me feel good, I know it is not from my posse, my Mount Glass, which includes my higher self, my,
Source and
right.
all the others. Yeah.
Because they only ever share something with me that makes me feel good. And even if it's informative and it's not the greatest news, they still make me feel good.
It's still from a place of love,
right,
not from a place of self-doubt or lacking or fear.
Right. So those types of thoughts are egoic, right? Those types of negative self-doubting type thought processes are egoic. And sometimes I can also tell that they're maybe a bit lower density, right? They just have an off frequency.
A heavier feel.
Right. So, and at first that would scare me, but I've trained myself to realize that we all come from love. We all come from the one true, creator, and we're all part of that. And we are all pieces of that. And because of that, regardless of uh, whether you feel like, oh, it's bad, I'm trying to bring myself into a place of what'd you call that, 0 point frequency, where I look at it with no judgment. I look at those thoughts with no judgment. I understand that this is not who I really am or who I really want to be. And it's not a thought that I would personally have when looking within and saying, Shyra, you're okay. I love you. And for that reason alone, I then release that. You no longer serve me anymore. I no longer need you, because I did call it in at some point. Nor if I'm working with it, especially with our free will, I have called it in at some point, right? So,
and maybe not even in a conscious way. That's pulled in. We're constantly pulling in energy throughout our life.
Right. So for me, I'm then now accepting and understanding and removing my judgment from it and sending it love and releasing that. And sometimes that takes a lot more than just a 1 moment practice. Sometimes you have to kind of keep doing it over and over again, so much so until you believe it yourself. And that's kind of one of the things that is also super important in the teachings, is realizing that your own beliefs is what's creating your reality. I can take this pen in my hand as an example. I can take this pen in my hand. I wholeheartedly believe that I can bend this pen with my mind. And I'm going to keep staring at this pen, and I'm going to keep believing this over and over and over again. And I'm going to fucking show up to the Matrix movie, right? And, the kid with the bald head, and this pen will eventually move, right? This pen will eventually bend. If you believe that so hardcore, so over and over and over again, it will eventually happen.
That's called alchemy. So I feel called to address this self-doubt within myself. And, I feel like I'm recognizing that at some point I brought this in as a protective method to protect myself from hurt, from disappointment, from not meeting expectations. And I no longer need this energy. I no longer need the self-doubt. It no longer serves me. And therefore, I release you back where you came from. I no longer need you.
Yay! And practice that every single day. Every single time you have a self-doubt message to yourself in your head that says, I'm not worthy, or I can't do something, I can tell you one thing so clearly. I have literally never heard my guides, I've never heard Mount Glass say, you can't do something. So never, not once. And so, because that comes from a place of lack, that's a limiting belief, and they don't provide that.
And I mean, whether you believe in God or source or a creator or whatever, like it's limitless. We are limitless. If we are part of source, which we all are, we are all a part of this collective consciousness. So we're all little pieces. Then each of our individual little pieces are all limitless as well. So if something or someone is telling you you can't, you can.
Sometimes that's a motivator. When somebody tells you you can't, you're like, oh yeah.
Well, let me prove you wrong.
I got this. I have to tell this story really fast just because it's kind of interesting. But I remember years ago, starting off in the career that I'm in, day job wise, and one of my bosses had said something that was really displeasing, and it made me cry. And he looked at it as a sign of weakness, not understanding his own emotions, right? And told me that I was never gonna be able to move forward in that. I wasn't like strong enough. And man, I wonder when he goes and he sees me and sees how I'm doing, if he just says either to himself, I'm glad I said that to her because she took it as a challenge and she went for it, or damn, I was wrong, no judgment. I have no judgment against that. Either way, it kicked me into high gear. However, I don't want people to feel like they're not capable of doing something, because you are. Every single person is capable of living their truest life that they possibly can. We are walking, living evidence of this. You had asked me 5 years ago, Shyra, are you going to have the day job that you have today, right? Are you going to, or you tell me this, right? Like, you're going to live in a beautiful home and be married and a stepmother. Had you told me that 5 years ago, I would have laughed at you. Had you also told me even a year ago that, hey, Shyra, you're going to be able to, connect with consciousness and see visions, or, feel energies and heal yourself, basically. And we'll talk about that in a later episode because that's a long one. But I would have been like, what? Yeah, okay. Take 10 steps back.
No, you drank too much.
Because you drank too much. It's crazy, right? Like, I would have literally said that. And so, and P.S., that was one of my biggest insecurities starting this podcast, is that the first thing that when you release a podcast is, you invite your friends and family to it. And, like when we were creating our, full disclosure here, we were creating our Facebook page, and our media manager was like, you need to go in and invite all your friends. I was like finding myself picking and choosing who would accept me this way. Because most of these people on here are not those that I've stayed connected with since going down this journey. Most of these people know me as the party girl, or, whatever that I used to be like. They don't know me this way at all. And so it's taken a while for, in a couple of crying sessions, to reduce that amount of fear within myself and say, you're either going to accept this, that this is who I am, or you don't have to accept this. And that's okay. You're no longer meant to be in my life. And that's okay. Right. And that was a major conversation that even you and I had, because I was starting to freak out, and have little moments of like, holy shit, I'm about to show a lot of people who I really am now. And I've never let those walls down before. And I understand how weird it sounds to hear, if you haven't stayed on this journey with me and haven't been part of, some of my close friends and family that I've been sharing this information with. I could see from your perspective how you'd probably look into this and be like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry, Shyra. Hold up.
Are you seeing a mental health, provider?
I'm not oblivious to that at all. So, like, this is just this. I've come to terms with the fact that this was the path that I was supposed to go down. I also come to terms with the fact that this is the path that you and I were supposed to go down. Because how many people need to hear this exact information? How many people need to understand that, it's okay to be completely you, and to remove the fear of you being who you are.
And the limiting, self-doubting beliefs too.
Right.
At the end of the day, each of us is just this incredible life force, this incredible energy, this perfectly imperfect, bright light, that is all and nothing. Like, we're limitless, and it's sometimes hard to receive that and feel safe in that.
It is. It's very hard. It's very difficult. This is not, some of this stuff comes real easy, right? Some of it comes real easy. Some of it's very hard. Some of it I've had to practice quite a bit. But it's really, the most important thing is that it's believing in myself and trusting that information. That's really been the most important thing. And again, you can ask your team. I call my team Mount Glass because I acronym them, but you can ask your Mount Glass, like,
or if you have a specific angel that you talk to, or a specific family member that's crossed over, or, you know, if it's God, if it's Jesus.
Yeah. I mean,
whoever, you know, whatever you're aligned with.
They will not disrupt your free will at all. So you do need to ask. And when I say ask, you just something as simple as, I would like to work with you. I would like to get to know you. I'm giving you permission to interact with me and do so we can do so. It will start to happen. It will start to show up in mysterious ways. And if you're open to receiving that information and you're aware, I think my first one was feathers for me. I would be in the hallway towards my office, and there's I found a massive feather that was like almost a foot long. And I'm like, I would have noticed that bird in my house, right? Because of how big that feather was. How did you get there? And then at first I just picked it up and I was like, must have gotten stuck on somebody's shoe. I mean, I don't know how they didn't notice this thing.
Big ass feather.
I mean, it was a big ass feather, right? Like, but this was me in the beginning. I didn't recognize it as a sign, right? And I had asked for a sign, but I didn't recognize it. And so I'm like, oh, maybe I got stuck to somebody's shoe and landed on the carpet up here. Who knows? You know, like, or at that time it was downstairs in the old house. So like, I was like, oh, who knows? Maybe that's just how that got there. And then it would take like a day or two and be like, huh, interesting. You know, and then everywhere I'd go, there's feathers. There's a picture of a stick or a stick figure, kind of like feather, you know, like a sketch feather. There's a picture of a sketch feather. Or, you know, I had one literally as going to my car to open the door, and there's no trees above me. And it just gradually floated down in front of me as I opened my car. Or I would find one in my car. Or I'd be walking down a sidewalk and then there's a big ass feather sitting right there on the side. And then I started just picking it up. Like, they're sending me this repeatedly because I keep asking for it, but yet I'm not opening my awareness to receive it.
We do have to be open to receiving.
Yes. Yes. Ooh, good one here. Yes. To be open to receiving.
So just a quick recap. We're insecure too. We're working on it. We're working on loving ourselves and being open and welcoming our limitlessness and receiving love and guidance from our guides. And we talked about, you know, doing meditation as a beginning point to practicing just being comfortable in your skin. And just know, like, there's no judgment here. And we hope, you know, that you are open to receiving the light and love. And we, are just appreciative of your willingness to accept us in all of our glory.
So much glory happening here. And just a final message from me on this is be open to accepting that you are powerful creators. And that power comes in so many forms. It comes in every form you can possibly think of, and then some. even the things that you can't possibly even think of. And we all serve to create. That's what we do. But I just want everyone to feel that power at some point. That's what I want to express more than anything, is that it is a mind-blowing realization when you have it. And
that we are limitless.
That we are absolutely limitless. Right. Okay. I'm done.
All right. Everybody, we love you so much. We are sending so much light and love and energy out to you and all the corners of the earth and the universe. And we hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and just, keep on checking in with that limitlessness.
Yes. Feel it. All right. Love you all. Thank you so, so much. Bye.
Lovely infinite beings, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this moment and being open to receiving light and love. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we really look forward to our next connection.
And as a reminder, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay notified of new content from Love Always Self. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Love Always Self, which will be linked in the show notes. We would love to hear from y'all. So if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to discuss, please email us at contact@lovealwaysself.com or send us a private message on our social media.
I'm Karista.
And I'm Shyra.
And until next time, love always self.